America's Mayor live from Palm Beach, Florida. Although behind us is the skyline, or some of the skyline of the city of New York, because we are going to discuss with several of our guests and with me and Ted the critical election coming up in New York, in which we're counting on you to save us from being delivered over to communism or to Islamic extremism or to both. Before we get to that, there was quite an indictment released in Brooklyn today, reminiscent of the basketball scandals of the 1950s that involved colleges, not professional basketball. And it involves point shaving scandal because a lot of the betting on basketball is based on point spread. You know, you bet that your team is going to win by 5 points, 10 points, 6 points, 2 points, 3 points, or lose. And the joke about that is that in the Garden, nobody is cheering if the Knicks are ahead. They're cheering if the Knicks are ahead by enough to beat the spread. So they could be losing, and if they're considered to be losing by 10 points, and then you see them losing by 8, you can hear a big cheer in the Garden because all the gamblers are all excited. Never like that, because I think it throws off the whole ethos of baseball. I mean, when you think about it, it's about winning and losing. Basketball, rather, baseball too. Not winning by 8 points, not winning by 6 points, not winning by 3, but winning by 1. But that's okay. That's me, and that's why I never was much of a bettor on sports, because I can't stand the spread thing. I just think it's ridiculous, and it turns the game into a gambling game and not a sports game. Right. The emphasis of the people watching it is gambling, not sports. Right. If you're rooting for your team to win by 6 points, not win by 6 points, or not lose by, 10. And if they lose by 8, you walk out happy because you just won your bet. You're a jerk. Okay? Well, the jerks all got indicted today. A whole bunch of them did, for being involved. Seven got indicted for being involved in passing around inside information about baseball games. Now, the betting has become much more sophisticated. They bet on things like the over-under of a player. So let's say it's a great. I mean, the greater the player, the more difficult it's going to be, because they can go up and down. They can have ridiculous overs. One time Will Chamberlain scored 100 points. I wonder if anybody got that right. So you're going to have to bet that a particular player. You're going to say, the bookies say that the player is going to score 14 points. You can bet that the player will score below that, or you can bet that the player will score over that. Now, if the player is involved in a gambling conspiracy, illegal conspiracy, he can control how many points he scores, right? By just taking himself out of the game. So if he has to score 14 and he takes himself out at 12, he just screwed everybody who took the over. And he sure as hell helped everybody on the under. And if they knew it, well, they bet like crazy. Well, that's exactly one of the situations here with a I think they indicted today an active coach, an active player, and several retired. Now, the active coach that they indicted is in the other scandal that's also being revealed at the same time, because there are two overlapping defendants, although they don't show tremendous overlap of organization. The first one, the one I just described to you, these are pretty unknown people to me. And it doesn't appear that there's any allegation of organized crime involvement in the point fixing scandal. However, in the poker scandal, it seems to be dominated by organized crime. with 3 of the 5 New York families heavily involved. And what they're doing is they're setting up trap poker games. They try to lure in very wealthy people. Part of the overlap is they use basketball players. They call them face cards. They use basketball players to draw you there. So this famous basketball player is playing at this card game, but the card game is a fix. The room is electronically set up so that they can read every card quickly. They can make calculations very quickly once the hand out who has the winning hand. That's transmitted to a guy off-site electronically. He's called the quarterback, or I'm not sure. He then transmits it to a guy on-site, and the guy on-site signals who has the winning hand. They use all kinds of different ways of doing it. They use chips, they use movement, they use hand signals, they use whistles, they use numbers, and they keep changing on every single thing. And then you know how to wipe the guy out, right?
Right.
And that group in that indictment, which I think was 31 people, included members of the Gambino family, the Genovese family, and the Bonanno family. Those are 3 of the 5 organized crime families. Are they really the organized crime families in direct line of succession with all the godfathers who went to prison? Probably not. Probably not completely. Some are, some aren't. But these young Italian kids like to take the name and make themselves important. The interesting thing is, the godfathers of the past are either going to say, I told you, or they're going to be very upset because they seem to be out of drugs like they were supposed to be in the first place. You might remember if you watch The Godfather, and I have the script of it right here. If you watch The Godfather, there's a big battle in the Mafia about whether to get involved in drugs or not. And the old timers said no, and the new timers said yes, because it was a lot of money. Now, I'm going to tell you that's real. The Godfather is, of course, fictional, but it's fictional real. Meaning it's based, almost everything in The Godfather I can probably trace to a historical event. Now, when I went to the Mob Museum, I got myself this. I have the script of The Godfather, but I got this annotated script because it's kind of like a Bible. And I went to the one. There were a couple of references to drug dealing and gambling and all of that. The first one is in Godfather 1, and it occurs when the Turk Sollozzo comes to the Godfather and asks for his support for this new business he's going to introduce, which is called drugs. He thinks they can make a lot of money buying and selling drugs. This would probably be around 1946, 1947. This is about when the war started between the Mafia families about drugs. And Sollozzo, otherwise known as the Turk. Now, he's called the Turk because the Italian organized crime got most of their heroin from Turkey through Marseille, France. Remember the French connection? Well, that was real. Some exceptions, they go through Palermo, they'd go through other places, but that was the main one. And it started off a lot of it started off in Turkey as it came out of Asia. So the Turk obviously had great connections there and could get great stuff. And the families wanted to go into the business because they didn't think they were making enough anymore from prostitution and from gambling. So Sollozzo asked for a meeting with Don Corleone, who was one of the 5 heads of the 5 families with fictitious name, let's say the Genovese family. And why was he important to Sollozzo? Because he had all of the politicians in his pocket, is the way they describe it. And he could get them to do anything he wanted, as is demonstrated several times during the trilogy. So Sollozzo realized that this drug business would encounter the law enforcement much more. So he needed protection against law enforcement. So he says, this is when he. So Hagen is the first to come in. Oh. Hagen is the attorney. Yeah. Oh, do you want to show it? Or do you want me to play? No, I'm much better. I'm much better. I can do it. Yeah. Hagen comes in and this
set the scene. I'll pull it up.
Hagen had just gone to California for the great scene where the horse is in the bed.
Yeah.
Now I got to tell you, you got to read the book. The horse is not in the bed. The horse is placed on the bedpost. That's the real mafia, not the Hollywood mafia. When the guy wakes up, he sees the horse looking right at him with the blood coming down from his neck. Because when they cut the head of the horse off, they put it on the bedpost like that. So why they have to do things like that, I don't know.
Well, Mayor, we were about to play that clip, but we have a very special guest joining us. She's coming to us live from Tel Aviv.
So should we do that first?
Yeah, let's.
Well, the clip can wait. Tel Aviv can't wait. I mean, who knows what could happen in Tel Aviv?
Right. And Emily, what time is it in Tel Aviv right now?
I could tell you I should be fast asleep. It is 3:13.
And Mayor, I even gave her an out. I told her, look, I know it's going to be the middle of the night. If we have to do another night, that's fine. But she wanted to be here with you.
Thank you. And we're really, really pleased that you came on with us, Emily. And we pray that you're safe.
Thank you. Thank God everything seems, I don't want to jinx it, but everything seems great right now.
Yeah. You know, it always has been. I mean, even during the worst of times, Israel, Jerusalem is safer than California, New York. It's amazing.
We have that debate on a regular basis here as an American, where they ask me, why don't you move to Israel? And I'm like, well, I don't want to be neighbors with Gaza and Syria and Lebanon and Jordan and Egypt. And their argument is, you live in New York. And I'm like,
so tell us.
Now, Mayor, I want to set the scene here. Of course, we've seen Emily. She has a background actually before her great work here. Recently, she was big into the sports world. And for another night, she could talk to us about the latest with gambling and boxing. And she's really done it all. And you know, for her young age, she's been very involved.
Were you shocked with the indictment or?
Wow. You know, it's funny. I was just talking to Michael Porter Jr. about his brother being arrested over it.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was kind of like, based on his story, at least, it was kind of this one-off. He was just caught in a bad place in a bad time. And now I'm finding out this is like a whole ring of crime. And the fact that like Cash Patel is now involved and there's investigations and a coach, and I'm mind boggled because,
not just the coach, Hall of Fame player and a championship coach. I mean, we're talking about the royalty of NBA, not the scum. And and I look at the indictment, which I can read pretty. You know, I've written about 5,000 of these. This can get much bigger.
Yeah.
This is. I mean, there are an awful lot of little conspirator 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A lot of little things to be filled in here. They use about 5 games as an example of how, and they're mostly picking on I guess Rozier for the
Terry Rozier,
right? They're mostly picking on him because he took himself out of 2 games, and he made a deal in advance on the over/under. So he took himself out in the first quarter of the game. So whatever, let's say it was 14, he came out when he had about 7 points, and everybody cashed in and made a fortune. Then he did it again.
Wow.
And then he started giving out information about other players, and he was getting paid directly, you know, by the people who were doing it. And then it goes from his guy, and then it spreads out all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And but they don't fill in all those people yet.
Let this just serve as a lesson to whoever's viewing this. This is a result of two things. First and foremost, it's greed. Because if you know how much money these players make on a contract, they don't need to be doing all that. But the second problem is financial irresponsibility. These people spend so recklessly, despite what their advisors tell them. They have this arrogance. Oh, well, I'll land a better contract next year. Boom, you injure your knee, you're out for the season. You're not getting that bigger contract. Terry Rozier, 6 babies with 6 different mothers. Do you know how much child support probably costs?
How many?
I think when I last spoke to him, he had 6. There could be
usually
more.
It's 7.
It's like the medium, like the range, you know.
I remember a couple of years ago, somebody came up with that in a column. They said for some reason, the basketball players all have 7 children. The first 2 are with one woman.
Yeah.
And then the remainder are with separate women. And then a friend of mine who might be on the show later had a great line. The most complicated day for the NBA is Father's Day.
Oh my God. That's great.
So tell us about, we actually had you on because you're in the Daily News today, another post with your support for Andrew Cuomo. And of course you support President Trump. So we wanted to know, how did you get around to Andrew Cuomo? I should let you know, we're going to have Curtis Slewer on later too, also, so he can make his case. I mean, my objective is to defeat the communists, but go ahead.
Correct. For starters, I told my mother, if you told me my bingo card was having Donald Trump as my lock screen and my first podcast episode featuring Andrew Cuomo, I'd think that this was a dream. Like, it just can't really make sense in reality. Like you said, I'm team defeat the communists, and that kind of comes at whatever cost. What I dislike how this all transpired is that, to me, political attacks, and I'm sure you disagree, and it's easy to say from the outside, I don't take personal. When people disagree on politics, okay, I might not like your opinion, but it comes down to political disputes. When it's Sliwa in this instance, what started as a plea to save New York City is now turning into more personal slander, which is getting really, really ugly. And as we see online this week, Sliwa is getting angry, kind of showing short temperament online. And I don't blame him, because the attacks are getting nasty about him, about his wife. But the truth is, he's doing the wrong thing. And I'm so happy we got to connect, because I was going to text Andy. I love your son, by the way. He's incredible. Why the bleep did you endorse Sliwa? And not once, but a few times, because
you mean my son, when you say Andy, you mean my son Andy, not Andrew.
Yes.
Cuomo. Okay.
No. Oh, yes, your son Andrew.
My son Andrew knows Curtis the day he was born.
I understand, and you know what? I don't think he's a bad guy. I think his politics make sense. I think he's a good Samaritan. Do I think he'd be the best candidate for the city? Absolutely. But the reality is, New York's not ready for another version of you. I wish it could be true, but it's not. And sometimes we need to be a realist rather than our wishful thinking that, no, there's a hidden percentage that they're just going to miraculously show up for Sliwa. I can't rely on that to allow a socialist to take over the city. And I don't think anyone should. So as someone like yourself, who's such a respected Republican, just a respected mayor in general, I feel that your endorsement took away the momentum that I do believe Cuomo had, and let Republicans think that it's okay to vote for Sliwa. And ultimately, and I'll end with this because I want to hear your thoughts, being a Republican is important because it's the values you carry, but sometimes you need to look at people over your party. I'm not going to sit here and make the case that Andrew Cuomo is the greatest guy in the world, because if anything, Sliwa might be the greatest guy in the world, but we need to look at how we're going to prevent Mamdani from winning this election, and that's it.
Well, the reason I put you on is your position is a very legitimate position. And my decision was a very, very difficult one.
Right.
I think it came down to this. We have to have a consistent philosophy. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to lose this election, we've got to go down based on our principles so we can rise again based on our principles. If we all had ended up supporting Andrew Cuomo, what's the party worth? He stands against most of the things that we stand for And maybe we'd be better off standing with principle and then coming back to fight for the next election. The other side of it is, this is why it's so close, and gosh, I could change my mind again. Zandami is different. Zandami is the end of the city. I truly believe that the city may not be able to recover from he's not just we talk about him as a communist. He's also a Muslim extremist. So you got two versions of Muslim religion, right? We got the good version and the bad version, because we have the good Muhammad and the bad Muhammad. If you follow the bad Muhammad, you knock down the World Trade Center. If you follow the bad Muhammad, Ramadan is a murder spree, right? Every Ramadan, we got to worry about Muslims killing us. We don't have to worry about Jews killing us on the high holy days or Christians killing us on Easter. But we got to worry about them because Muhammad taught them to do that. They're not doing it just for the hell of it. Muhammad taught them to do it. It's in their Quran. Then there are a whole group of Muslims who reject that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how effective that is, because maybe they don't speak out against those other guys enough. But which one is he? Well, he's told us he's on the evil side. He's the one who says that 9/11 was really caused by Israel and America. He's the one that has expressed no condemnation of September 7. He's the one who won't condemn Hamas. He's the one who goes and sees the imam, who is a national security risk to the United States of America. I know his record from back when I was U.S. attorney. The guy is an American-hating son of a bitch. Sorry.
No, you're spot on, but I can challenge you when it comes to principles.
Shouldn't be at the head of anything. But it's very, very. So today I recommended the following. I haven't talked to either one about it. They're both going to be angry at me. They should sit in a room and they should come out with a team. And they both should run. You figure out who's first and second. The second guy should be the chief deputy mayor.
It's really that simple. I believe it's really that simple. And it's obvious that right now Cuomo has the numbers. We'd all get what we want. I want to push back on one thing, Mayor.
Yeah.
You said that going down with our principles gives us a better opportunity to rebuild. Yes and no. I also believe that understanding that there's a lesser of two evils here and putting your vote in a candidate you might not love or even strongly dislike won't compromise your values. Like living under Joe Biden did not take away my conservatism. If anything, it ignited it more. I think Republicans will not compromise their values under a Cuomo administration. You know, I think if anything, it'll reignite them. You know what? In the next election, we need to run a better campaign. But I don't believe that any Republican today, no matter how principled you are, will vote for Sliwa, because your principles won't matter, Mayor, when a socialist is running the city. Your principles will drive you out of the city, and you're going to have to go ahead and rebuild somewhere else. So I don't really know if I love that argument.
It's the way we got to where we were. So Goldwater lost in a big election to Johnson. And then those principles we maintained through 4 or 5 elections before, and built them and taught people the value of them until we got to Ronald Reagan. And great political movements always go through this period of being tortured.
Right.
And if they can stick together, they're great political movements. Now that my argument works perfectly if we're talking about a normal candidate on the other side who just has different principles than we do. The reason I have doubt even about my own decision and therefore have compromised it somewhat is Zandami is if I were back being a lawyer, if they ever let me back practicing law, I would say Zandami is sui generis, one of a kind, Latin for one of a kind. This is a one of a kind challenge to us, and we have to do some exceptions. So I'm not finished with this analysis yet, and let's see if I can convince them. Because I think even with Sliwa supporting him, Zandami could still win.
I agree, by the way, and that
I mean,
scares
I
me.
think it'd be very close. It'd be a point or two, but it really depends on how bad the sickness is in the city. So we'll have to see.
Here, I came up with a little chart for our viewers to evaluate.
A chart.
Do
Oh,
you
good.
like Andrew Cuomo? Yes or no?
Do I like him?
Yes.
Yeah, I like Curtis better, but I like Andrew. Sure,
Okay.
I know him since he's a
If
baby.
yes, if no, have the same answer. Is it better than Mamdani?
Is Cuomo better than Mamdani?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of the
This
people in
is
the
what
Mafia
the
might be
vote
better.
comes down to. So if
What?
you're a Republican watching this,
What was the
this
last
is
one
the
there?
mathematical equation right now that we're looking at.
She has at the top, it says, do you like Andrew Cuomo? Yes or no? Whether you like him or not, it leads to the next sentence or question: is he better than Mamdani?
Yeah, I just think the
Yeah,
answer.
that's the
I just
mayor.
think the answer to that question doesn't get you anywhere because you could have asked me about John
Anyone.
Gacy. I mean,
Yeah, Sean
no, I think you're making a very powerful point. That's why I have you on,
right.
Thank
and
you.
we're going to continue. We're going to continue to examine this. For no more than 2 or 3 more days, because if it gets done, it's got to get done now so it can sink in. But I liked last night's debate when Sliwa and Cuomo were both going after. A couple of times they hit him really bad. I didn't like it when they diverted, to themselves. All the focus has got to be on Mamdani, and I think a team. If Cuomo is the sole candidate, he's got to bring to make it work. He can't just take Democrats. They're not enough. A lot of them are with Mamdani. He's got to take some of Curtis's Republicans.
Absolutely.
Maybe half, not all, about half. So an idea of doing some kind of a joint thing, I think it'd be very powerful.
I feel like that's just what politics needs. If you have someone also who I believe Cuomo is not just Democrat, I think he's ultra Democrat, but you can balance that out with Curtis Sliwa, then I think, first of all, it shows a great sense of bipartisan unity. Second of all, it saves the city. And third of all, you can balance each other out with your policies. Even if it's just healthy debate and like discourse, we need that. We don't really have that in politics in general. Imagine New York could be the first. I would be shocked, but great.
When are you coming back?
To New York on Monday.
We'll put you together with them. I think you would do a better job of convincing them than I do.
I would love to.
My style is a little different than yours. I use a hammer.
I use these.
Hey, Churko. Hey.
No, she's got some guns.
You
of her
too?
own.
You too?
Yeah. And Mayor, she
I
started
thought she
out.
was going to use the pretty face. And do it with that.
She started out as an independent NBA reporter.
I'm not even gonna make a joke about Cuomo about that one. I won't make a joke. I promise, because I know I respect his family too much.
But Emily is again. She's
I know Emily
well versed in a lot of different for our audience.
What do you think I am, an uneducated rube?
For our audience, though, right? I mean, with all these stories, we could talk with her about Israel, obviously the NBA scandal.
If she wants to, we have her on all the time. But particularly the NBA thing, I'd really love to get your feel on that one, because it did come as a surprise to me.
Honestly, I think this took everyone by surprise because how do I say this?
Hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry. I have to interject. Tim Donaghy, how many years ago was that? You really are surprised with all the gambling?
A one-off never surprises me.
Exactly.
It's going on. There's a one-off going on in baseball. There's a one-off going on in soccer. There's a one-off going. Yeah. What surprised me, you read this. This is like the tip of the iceberg. I know U.S. attorneys and I know how they write things. This guy's got about 8 more cases. Guaranteed.
So this is just the beginning.
And this isn't even my district. And I have to say, I don't want to face these lawyers. This is a terrifically written indictment.
Which district is it taking place
in? Eastern District in Brooklyn. Wow. Not the one in Manhattan, which was mine. And we were always in a sort of a competition. But this is one of the great mean, there are districts in the United States where you get a good defense lawyer and he's going to outmatch him. There are districts in the United States where you're just not going to outmatch him, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Probably every single one of these people graduated in the top 5% of their class. Well, thank you very, very much. I was surprised at the quality of the players and the coach in particular involved. I mean, these are not the kind of people that have to be doing this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It comes down to greed. And when you see that, you ask, did it surprise me? The truth is, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to the players at all. They know how much I empathize with athletes. But if it were only just the players, I'd say, you know what? A lot of them are young, rich, stupid. It doesn't matter. They're just learning. But when a prestigious coach gets involved, then you're like, this is scandalous. This was malicious.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not a one-off. This was coordinated, and that is frightening.
Well, thank you very much. And take care of yourself. Get some sleep. And you're in my second or third favorite country.
Oh, thanks.
It goes back and forth between Israel and Italy. So
beautiful. I'm sure I'll
God
see you
bless
soon.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Emily.
And you're in the country with the greatest prime minister since Winston Churchill.
Wow.
All right.
I'll let him know you said that.
Would you tell Bibi, who I know since we were babies, that we were about 35. To me now, that's a baby. Would you tell him I admire him even more than I ever did before?
I will. We'll take this clip. I'll forward it to the whole team.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank
Wow,
you.
isn't she what a rock star she is?
We are not in the position we're in without Bibi Netanyahu. There's no doubt about it. You know, Winston Churchill used to say, the people who write history will determine history. We got to write the book about Bibi because we got to get people straight on this. That guy gets terrible publicity, but I'm telling you, just like Churchill, who wrote the history and now they're trying to deconstruct it. You think about what he accomplished from the time of the mistake, which I think he paid for dearly and probably stays up every night trying to make up for. The mistake of letting them come in. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's done everything to save the Israeli people. He's done everything to save America against an American president who was working for the other side. I mean, truly working. I don't think you really can appreciate how traitorous Biden was. You have no idea what a traitor Biden and that segment of the Democratic Party is to the United States. But just please concentrate on the fact that he gave hundreds of millions, possibly billions, hundreds of millions for sure, in cash to the Ayatollah. Now, I want you to consider the fact that it is completely accepted, even by the Biden communists and bums, that Iran is the biggest sponsor of terrorism. Now, who is Iran? The Ayatollah. If you give him money and he's the biggest sponsor of terrorism, where is the money going to go? Finally, if you need any persuasion, if your powers of logic are really weak because you've been brainwashed by the Marxists, why was it in cash? Because terrorists take money in cash. Imagine if he had given that money to bin Laden. I don't know. I think we would have put him in jail and I think we would have hung him. What's the difference between bin Laden and the Ayatollah? I don't know. Did bin Laden kill more Americans or the Ayatollah? Why did we take out his henchmen? Huh? Who told him to kill the Americans? The Ayatollah. Right?
That's right, Mayor, and it's been happening for decades. One thing we don't talk about enough is the number of American servicemen and women killed by Iranians during the Iraq War, right? And
we'll never know.
We'll never know.
But I mean, it's well over 1,000.
And that's why the president rightfully okayed the strike on General Soleimani. I mean, he was complicit in the death of hundreds if not thousands, of Americans and
Soleimani-
other civilians.
Soleimani used whatever flexibility he had to kill Americans.
Right.
So if he was in the field and there were two possibilities, kill, well, the French didn't even fight. They were making food back in the camp. No, they didn't. What I'm telling you is true. Only NATO forces that fought with us, I mean, none of them came to Afghanistan with us. I mean, that'd be too tough. My God, they'd have to actually really fight. But they came to Iraq with us. And in those days, the French, sorry, forget the French. Oh my God, what am I saying? Actually, the French surrendered twice. We had to tear it up. The English, the Canadians, and the Australians fought with us back then.
And the Polish.
Oh, and the Polish, yeah. The Polish led it.
Yeah. The UK, Australia, and Poland.
Yeah. Some of the others fought with us too, and I can't say anything bad about them because I'm not sure. But I can tell you the French only gave us support soldiers, not fighting soldiers.
Right, and that's when we had the big movement for freedom fries. I remember that.
Yeah, they only gave us.
They tried to rename French fries.
They
Remember
gave us
that?
support soldiers. Now I'm going to say because Frenchmen are no different than other men. This had to be like a tremendous embarrassment to them. They were humiliated. The damn government of France humiliated them like they weren't even men.
Right.
But that's what happened all throughout Iraq. And you can ask my MEK people, you can ask anybody that. I mean, it was pathetic. And most of the French soldiers were complaining about it. They wanted, and some of them went and fought and put on other uniforms.
That's right.
I'll give you an idea how sick the French government is.
At the time, the French government considered the war illegal, unnecessary, and based on flawed intelligence.
But they had to support NATO. So they supported them minimum.
Right.
Boy, has Trump straightened that out? There was this big argument, will Trump get out of NATO? Well, let me use practical English now. If NATO is worth shit, why not get out? So let's either make NATO worth something or get the hell out. And he made it worth something. It's worth a lot now.
Well, thanks to President Trump.
It could be, if not now, pretty quickly. It'll be the NATO and the EU will be the second largest economic force and military force in the world. Second to the US. China will be third. Now, China has a larger navy, but that's it. China doesn't have the strategic and the tactical abilities of our military, which are beyond compare, which we share all of that with NATO. Our joint resources, United States and NATO, would be 3 to 4 times China, monetary. So from the very beginning, Trump was not trying in any way to crush NATO. He might have wanted to give it a different name, but he wanted to put together a real alliance. And he started doing it immediately.
Absolutely.
I mean, he did it piece by piece, right? First of all, he had most of Eastern Europe to start with.
Right.
Poland, Hungary, they were dying to get rid of the French sissy bullshit from the beginning. So he had that there. Then he got very lucky with Giorgia Meloni getting elected in Italy. So that gave him not the first level European state, but a second level European state. Excuse me, grandma and grandpa, okay? But we're not Italy in that sense is not England or France. But then again, it's actually not Hungary. It's a very substantial country. Has a tremendous military industrial complex. One of our main military contractors of a deep security is an Italian manufacturer. So it's not England, it's not France, it's not Germany. Maybe it's right there.
What?
Italy.
Italy.
More resources than Poland.
Yes.
not quite the military spirit yet of Poland.
No.
But getting there.
For historical.
And if she remains prime minister, she's now the third longest prime minister in the history of Italy. The more she stays, the more her traditions and her esprit and her ideas pervade Italy. I find Italians, and I know a lot of them, talking very differently now. I think if Trump went to Italy, most parts of Italy, I think it'd be a tremendous reception. I think it'd be a tremendous reception in most of Europe. I used to think back then when they used to say, oh, he's so unpopular in Europe. When I would go to Europe, and of course, everybody knew me as his lawyer, all they would do is tell me how wonderful he is.
Right.
And how even the ones who didn't like him would say, I'd rather have him as my prime minister than Macron, whatever the hell his name is, whose wife runs the whole damn show.
There's you with Prime Minister Meloni. You visited with her last year.
I remember when they were accusing her of being a Nazi. I mean, I think some of her family were killed by the Nazis. Do you know that? And she's a Nazi, right? Yeah. But they do that all the time. It's like in Europe, they use Nazi the way the left wing uses racist in the United States.
Right.
If you oppose them on taxes, you're a racist.
Or a Nazi. Oh, but by the way, they're using the Nazi thing here now again. And that's what leads to violence against individuals like our friend Charlie Kirk.
How many of their relatives fought against the Nazis? A lot of mine did.
Right. Well, you prosecuted.
They even fought against the Italians. They came from Italy.
You prosecuted Nazis as recently as the 1980s.
Had them executed. My only executions. I didn't have any capital cases. They wouldn't let me kill the Mafia guys. I would have.
Wait, why?
No capital punishment then.
Oh, New York.
No,
or federal.
No federal capital.
Oh, that's right.
It wasn't reinstated until later.
Interesting.
RICO does not have capital punishment as it's life imprisonment and not capital punishment. Even though you can prove 10 murders, how about 50?
I mean, you had some guys. I mean, how about the butcher?
Oh, the butcher.
Who was he?
The butcher didn't murder them. He just chopped them up.
Ah, okay.
He was my witness. I had to.
So does that make him
some things to say about it that made it a little better? I mean, he never killed anybody. I mean,
he
did do a good job at chopping up about 48 bodies.
That was his nickname. Was he actually a butcher? Mm-hmm. In real life, he was a butcher.
He had a butcher shop.
People would go by there, pick up
people had
meat.
No idea. They come in, they buy beautiful meat. He actually was a fairly well-renowned butcher, Vito Arena.
Wow.
And he was part of the. He was part of the. Paul Castellano. He worked directly for Paul Castellano, and they found him and his partner because they figured if they could get the bodies chopped up and distributed in various different places, it'd be much harder for the FBI to reconstruct the scene. And there is this crazy notion that you can't prosecute murder without the body. That's not true. You can, but it is harder. So they figured if you could chop up the body and
here's Vito.
We have time for a funny story about Vito.
We do. I got him up on the screen.
All right. So Vito. First of all, now that the trials are over and they can't appeal him anymore, Vito was crazy, completely crazy. Vito was gay. They would never make him a member because he was gay. My first encounter with Vito in 1993, I think, 93 or 94. April, May, June. I was sitting in my office. I'm not sure I had been sworn in yet, or I was about to be sworn in as U.S. attorney, but I was fixing up my office. Now, I had been in the U.S. attorney's office for 5 years before, so it wasn't like, but now I had the big giant office where I used to go in scared because my boss would yell at me. So now I was the boss. And I'm there on a Saturday because I always worked on a Saturday in those days. I get a call on my phone. I answer it myself. This Rudy Giuliani? I said, yeah. Vito Arena. I said, Vito? You mean the witness in the Castellano case? Yeah. Oh, you know about me? I said, yeah, Vito, I know about you. Like, oh, that's good. but he liked to be famous.
Yeah.
He said, Walter Mack, Walter was the assistant U.S. attorney who made that case. Brilliant case.
Right.
But Walter was a little easy on Vito, which did come back to haunt us for a while. He said, Walter told me anytime I needed anything, I could call you. You were an assistant U.S. attorney and a hell of a good one. And I got to tell you, I got an effing problem here. I said, well, what's your problem, Vito? I said, you're in the witness protection section. And he said, that's, yeah. They make that a lot better than it really is. I said, okay, what's the problem? He said, well, first of all, I don't get treated with the proper respect. And I said, well, what is that? He said, look, you know my story. They wouldn't make me because I'm gay. But they treated me with respect. The wise guys treated me with respect. Your marshals treat me like shit. They said, the mafia is not homophobic and your effing marshals are homophobic.
Right. Yeah.
I said, I can't believe this. I did not think I took this job. I stepped down from the third ranking official in the Justice Department, working in the White House to do this job. Now I got this crazy nut telling me he's not being treated right by the marshals and the mafia treat him better. He looked better than that. That's a terrible picture of him. I said, well, Vito, let me talk to them. He said, I only did this because Walter told me if I ever had a problem, I should call him or you, and I couldn't get him. So I said, Vito, Walter was right to do that. I do that with all my, and I didn't say informants. I said all my witnesses, but sometimes I meant informants. And any of us in law enforcement have a big group of informants. And it is a certain amount of care and feeding of them that breaks open these big cases. So I realized Walter was away for 2 days and I had to do something with this guy.
Right.
So I called up the marshal who turned out to be a new marshal and a great guy, also appointed by the great Ronald Reagan and a big fan of mine. And I said, Romulo, I got a problem with Vito and this is the problem. Romulo agreed and said, hey, we're just getting rid of the Democrat shits that were here. So let me get my own people in from the PD. We know how to treat gays. We don't treat them like shit. That's ridiculous. This guy's a very important witness. He can stop complaining in 3 days, I promise. I said, you're not going to do anything to him, are you? No, bullshit. I'm not going to do that. And Romulo turned out to be a great marshal.
Right.
I don't think I could have done it without him because I must have run 30 massive major league rats. Sorry, boys, did I call you that? Through him.
Right.
And man, he handled them brilliantly. And he handled them like a psychiatrist. And made it easier to turn them.
Right.
Even when we get to Milken and people like that, he helped me turn them.
That Milken, of course, that's the Wall Street.
Yeah, Romulo J.I. Mundy was a New York City police detective, but he had like a tremendous charm. He had one of those like Dean Martin Italian personalities. Right. It was very, well, it's great.
Well, those sorts of things, Mayor, and that's part of the reason I feel you were so successful. You understand people, right? It's beyond just understanding the law, being a good lawyer. It's understanding people and where to place them, where they can be most effective in the larger picture as you cleaned up New York, or in this case, took down the Mafia.
When I did my first Mafia indictment, I'll give you an example. When I did my first Mafia indictment that led to taking down the entire commission, and it was a lot more than the commission. We took down the commission. We took down their drug organization with the Sicilians. We took down their involvement in the Teamsters Union, took them out, 9-year receivership. We took out their position in Las Vegas, 10-year receivership. We took out their position in the sanitation business, in the food business, in the fashion business. Fashion Week in New York, all those beautiful girls they put on. I mean, the News and the Post kind of compete with each other as to which one gets closer
to the line.
To the line.
New York Fashion Week.
Right? New York Fashion Week. That thing used to be run by the Mafia.
Really?
Yeah. Would you like to know what happened to? Never mind. What happened to those girls?
No, well,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. You have to know that one of the people that helped to save Fashion Week was Donald Trump.
That's right. That's right. He really brought a lot of positive attention.
Whatever you think of the allegations about Donald Trump, whatever you think of it, I'm going to tell you something, and you just absorb it, and this is true. Man has great respect for women.
Right.
So go stuff it. Okay.
And
I know that. And so do I.
You know that, and you're a longtime friend of his. I can back that up. I've seen him.
I don't think I have a friend that does it. I wouldn't have a friend that does it.
Respect women. That's right. We've talked a lot about that. You've made it very clear.
It's critical to being a man.
And your father taught you that.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean being some kind of sissy man.
Right. Of course not.
Of which we're worried that there aren't.
Not enough men these days, Mayor. We are just speaking of men, we are just minutes away. We are awaiting Curtis Sliwa to join the program. He's at a rally.
Are people wondering whether Curtis is he?
No. We talked about real men, and that's when we brought Curtis's name into the conversation. He's wrapping up an event in South Brooklyn, and he's on his way to
South Brooklyn is big. It used to be very Italian and Irish, very Catholic. It's now part of it is the Muslim center.
And part of the heavy Chinese population as well. I believe he's leaving a Chinese American event, and then he's off to Staten Island. And so he's going to.
What that is, Staten Island.
Staten Island. That's Giuliani country.
Yeah,
what percent of the vote did you get in Staten Island in 1996 or 1997?
I don't know. Could have been 80%, 75
votes. 1997, I think, is when that election was. Yeah, 80%.
Not bad.
You said that 80%.
Yeah. I actually didn't believe it was 80%. I don't think anybody ever gets 80%.
Yeah. Well, that's what the numbers say. And look, if they never cheat for our side, Mayor. So if those are the numbers, those are the numbers. Yeah.
The problem I had was getting them out to vote.
Oh, the second time around.
Yeah, they knew I was going to win. You know what I did? I campaigned for 54 hours straight.
Straight?
I finished campaigning and went to vote.
Straight.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, what were you doing in the overnight hours?
I was on a bus.
Making stops, I guess. Yeah, they do
Making stops. I stopped off at a motel and showered. I went to church.
Good.
Part of it was Sunday.
You used to ride. Was this your first race when you'd ride the back of a truck?
No, my first race I was in the back of the truck.
Back of a pickup, right?
Yeah.
That I would have loved to be with you on some of those trips. Like, and you just made speeches roving around the city on the back of a truck.
This was my third race. This was the race where my big problem was getting my vote out because I was going to win by, 10%, 15%. And I never ran in a race like that before. I lost by 1. I won by 2. I didn't know such a thing as a landslide. I didn't trust it.
You didn't trust it.
I was afraid people wouldn't turn out. And I was being told that. I was being told, people know you're going to win, they're not going to vote. I said, oh, Jesus. I mean, there are so many Democrats here who the unions make sure. See, the Democrats, it's almost as if they can just register their vote. Because they bring them out like, not even including the ones they pay. I'm talking about the ones that are in the unions, and they come out and they boop, 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 going to keep their job. Board of Education, all useless people hurt children. Boom, 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 boom. All the people in the Department of Welfare that make sure that New York City becomes more and more and more dependent. Boop, 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 boop. Then the one that I am extraordinarily embarrassed about, it could be a big problem with us very soon. I'm an absolute failure at getting dead people's votes.
Gotta talk to JFK.
And one election after another,
or LBJ,
I have gotten wiped out by dead people votes. The Democrats get all the dead people. I don't understand it. We're the more religious party. We believe in heaven. Maybe only the people in hell come out to vote. I don't know. But we do not know how to appeal. And you know how they say that Republicans didn't know how to appeal for the black vote?
Yep.
Well, we do a better job with the black vote than the dead vote.
Well, we
don't appeal at all for the dead vote.
That's right.
I've suggested things and they look at me like I'm crazy. I've suggested rallies at the large cemeteries. Nope, they won't do it. They won't put any money into rallies at large cemeteries.
There's a little blast from the past. This is Mayor Giuliani. This is 1997.
Open up. We don't want any more
See how
trouble
much
than we
they didn't
already
like-
have had. That's right. Thank you. The fact is that
Who in 1993 hated
what I
me,
expect out of people
1997 loved me.
that work in city
And
government
do you
is
know that I got
performance.
50% of the
take this job
Hispanic
very,
vote when I
very
ran for
seriously.
re-election?
I work at it very hard, and I expect that people have to perform. And if they're performing, if they are using money in a wise way, if they're using it intelligently, if they're dealing with the problems of children, for example, and not just the rhetoric of change, but the reality of change, the way Rudy Crew is, they're not going to have a stronger supporter than me as the mayor of the city of New York. If they're not performing, just talking about it, and things are, going in the wrong direction, then I've got to do something about it. I have to step up to it, and I have to try to make changes. You only have 4 years as mayor of New York City to make changes. And if you're going to be unwilling to take on some conflict, you're never going to make change. So that's the style that I have. I think it works most of the time. Like anything else a human being does, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But by and large, I think it's turned this city in the right direction.
That was halfway through my mayoralty.
Yep.
So, the first year or two, I wasn't going to win re-election.
Really? Oh, I mean, they were getting on you. I remember.
Oh, I was at about 30. I think my lowest approval was about 38%. So, I mean, I didn't come in with a 50% approval. I was a Republican.
Right.
I came in with like a 48% approval rating. Okay.
Right.
My first couple of months in office, I probably went up to 51, 52.
Right.
Then I started doing cuts. And then I had to do more cuts because there was a much bigger deficit. The Democrats had lied about the deficit.
Right. Surprise.
But by the end of the year, I probably was at about 30. At the end of the year, 1994, I think I was below 40% approval and unlikely to be reelected.
Right.
95 was like a transition year, and my approval rating went up and down. Everything went up and down. 96. By the end of 96, I was above 50% because all of the economic programs had started to work. Taxes had come down. Unemployment had gone from about 11% to about 7%. Eventually went to 5%. We had cut maybe 25% of welfare. Crime. People by 1996, people finally accepted that crime had gone down. When crime first went down, like by 20%, they didn't believe it because there still would be a murder. So they'd say crime went down 20%, but that person just got murdered on the subway. Well, of course, we're never going to eliminate it. And a lot of my people got very, 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 very nervous about how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And I said, just be patient. Because the broken windows theory is the thing that will win them over. The thing that will win them over is as they walk out of their house, for 25 years, they've seen all homeless people around them. Now they're going to walk out of their house and they're not. The minute they see that, the statistics don't matter. They internalize it. They're safe. When they don't have to go to work every day, when they don't have to go to school every day, when they don't have to go to recreation or the movies, and have to worry about their safety, we won.
Right.
Not with all these statistics. The statistics will get them to start thinking about it, but we win when they start. That's what I mean by quality. That's what I mean by quality of life, broken windows theory. That's why it's so important.
Right.
And that's what these absolutely inane, anti-American, communist Democrats don't understand.
Right. Well, Mayor, we have Curtis Sliwa just a minute away, coming to us live from, well, you might like this crowd. It looks like an Italian-American crowd in Staten Island.
Why would you think I'd like an Italian-American crowd?
But let's
Because I'm hungry?
Let's take it. Well, we got food on the way. We have Curtis Lewa on the line. Life is good. Let's take a quick break, pay some of the bills, and we'll be right back.
Okay. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee.
And we're back.
This is Rudy Giuliani. We're back with America's Mayor Live, and we're staying on into what we call soccer time, which will become extremely important for you to understand when the World Cup comes to the United States next year, security of which is being supplied by someone named Andrew Giuliani, appointed by President Trump. I wonder who that is. So
we're big soccer fans now.
Oh man,
We've got to be
over the top
for the next couple of years.
You know, the only way we can really convince them we're soccer fans, if we call it football. I can't do that yet.
Can't do it.
I can't do it.
It is not. There's one game of
But you
football.
know, actually, honestly, I've been in big debates with them. They're much more entitled to the word football than we are. In soccer, you use your foot a hell of a lot more than you do in football. In football, you just kick those stupid extra points and 3 points, and then when they miss them, they get. Well, never mind.
Right.
Okay, let's go to Curtis.
Well, we're waiting on Curtis. He's wrapping up a speech. We have the window.
Oh,
They've given me the signal.
Are you telling me he's wrapping up a speech?
Yeah, yeah.
Could we come back on tomorrow morning?
Yeah, no. Well, this is go time, right? I mean, this is the home stretch. Would you say the final 2 weeks? Mayor, to our audience, what would you recommend to these candidates? What should they be
last 2
doing?
weeks, there is an excitement level in the crowds that you go to, and the first time you run, you're shocked by it. I don't even care if you're way behind.
Yep.
Everybody gets more serious when there's about 14, 15 days to go. And there's an electricity in every speech that you give, whether you're going to win or lose, that doesn't exist earlier. The only person that ever existed for earlier was Donald Trump. And it's the way I knew he was going to win. I went with him to a rally in about May of 2016.
Help me get over the
and it had the enthusiasm of an election eve rally. I said, pal, you're going to win. This is unheard of. People aren't that excited at this point. Right now, you see how I can just look at that audience and I can tell they're much more engaged than they would have been 5 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago or 3 months ago. Everyone's paying attention. It's very quiet. These people know they have to make an important decision.
Right.
People on Staten Island know it for sure.
Right.
And what I say to the people on Staten Island is, get out and vote. Please. You can make a difference.
Right. Right. So
they literally elected me in 1993. 1996, yeah, I won by big margin, over 80%. But I would have gotten more votes.
they're saying hi to you, Mayor.
Live. We're doing the program right. They all love you here in Staten Island. Let's give a standing ovation. And the Rocelli restaurant on Highland Boulevard, Rudy. Is he not the best? With a broken back at home.
So they're
Oh no, Curtis. Curtis. We got to change it to Curtis right now. You got to save us. You got to save us, Curtis. A lot of weight on your shoulders, my friend, but you got big shoulders. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders and the people of Staten Island.
Oh, Mayor, do you have anything to say to the? I think they got a microphone up there.
I do. If they have a microphone there, I have a lot to say to them.
Yeah, you got a photographer there.
I'll make it very, very
The Staten
brief.
Island Advance is taking a picture.
You saved the city once before. You saved the city in 93 when you voted for me in ridiculous numbers. I don't even remember the percentage, maybe 80% or whatever. It'll make a difference. The biggest problem in New York City, whether we're talking about this election or de Blasio or whatever, people don't turn out to vote. And people are telling you, oh, Curtis can't win. It doesn't matter. Mondami, the communist, is going to win. Nobody wins until the votes are cast. Just come out and vote as if your life depended on it. Tell everybody to do it, even the people in the other boroughs who are your friends. Because the truth is your life does depend on it. This guy is a monster who's running on the Democrat ticket. Never been worse. Never seen anything like it. In my worst nightmares, I never would have thought we would have had a candidate like this. I don't have to announce his positions. Every single one of them is detestable to decent people. Not just to Republicans, not just to Democrats, not just to people in Staten Island. But any decent person would vomit listening to his positions. So you're the backbone of the city, my friends. You get out and vote for him.
So you've got they've
Curtis, thank you for having the courage you have.
That's right. And Mayor, they're listening to you. They're watching the show live on location. What is your message to the good people of Staten Island who have gathered tonight in support of Curtis Sliwa for mayor?
Well, Ted, I hope you were listening to me because I just gave you.
Oh, yeah.
Vote for Curtis. Can I make it any clearer?
Well, we're ready for Curtis. If Curtis wants to come on screen.
Do not vote for the communist Islamic supporter of Islamic terrorism.
That's right. Curtis, are you there? We're ready for you.
My God, this is a city that was attacked by Islamic terrorists. And now we got a guy who wanted to be mayor. Are we crazy? Please, we're not. Please.
That's right. So Curtis is on screen now. He's saying hi to a few potential voters. So, of course, that's important. But we'll hope to get him here.
We'll go back to him when he's ready. I'm willing to wait.
Okay, great. So
he's always wait for a great man like Curtis.
Right. And he's being, there he is. Here he is.
It is very hard. What you're watching him do is very hard to do. You get up this morning. If you're Curtis Sliwa, you get up this morning and every damn newspaper in New York says you can't win.
Right.
And you're saying to yourself, I believe I can. And I believe I'm the only one that can really turn this city around. Zandami is unquestionably ridiculous.
Right.
Cuomo had his chance and didn't.
Right.
And therefore, the weight is on my shoulders.
Right.
That's very, very hard.
Right.
Whether you like him or not, whether you agree with, whether you think he should be supporting Cuomo or not, you got to understand the weight on this man's shoulders is tremendous.
Right.
And he feels it because he's for real.
And there he is.
Curtis feels it. I mean, he can. I've been through this, so I know exactly what he's feeling, and maybe not even because it wasn't as critical when I ran. This is really critical, Curtis. So tell me how things are going, because we watched the debate last night. You really scored points last night. You really did. Gosh, you really beat the hell out of him on any legitimate, but it's not legitimate, right? So tell me where you are right now in your words. Can you get that up?
Yep.
As you saw, I had the line of the night when I turned to Zorhan and I said, your whole resume we can fit on a cocktail napkin. He nearly dropped his jaw. But I didn't let Andy off either. And then I looked over at Andrew Cuomo and I said, all your failures could fill up a New York City public library. And that brought down the house.
Yeah, I remember. I said when you said it, I said, okay, he's got tonight. A lot of them, I'll tell you what, though, you get an idea of how biased they are or not. A lot of them played the Zandami part. They didn't all play the Cuomo part, because that's where they're leaning, right? The establishment press. So how do we overcome that?
I will tell you, Rudy, we have a lot of momentum. We had turned out the most supporters for that debate. We lined the streets of Long Island City. Even the Zoranistas who have come out a lot were impressed. Cuomo, he didn't have a lot of supporters there. And then he ran off to the basketball game with Eric Adams. You don't leave your supporters behind, Rudy. You never did. You
What
always
basketball
stayed
game?
and talked with them.
The Knicks game.
It's not a big game.
Yeah. He went to the
It's
Knicks
just a
game.
regular season game. They play 100 and something of them. I don't know. Who
Yeah,
knows?
82.
Maybe somebody's given the indictment today.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's betting on that. I mean, I can't believe that if they're screwing around with basketball, they're not doing it in the Garment Center. The biggest, most degenerate basketball bettors are in the Garment Center.
Going back to the college basketball fixing.
God, yeah.
That was right outside the Garden.
If this scandal doesn't lead back to the Garment Center, I'll eat my hat.
Well, we got to get you a hat like Curtis.
So Curtis, what's on for tomorrow? I love candidates.
20-hour day out of 24 hours campaigning. And Rudy, the most important thing is every day that they talk about me dropping out is a great day for Zoran Mandami, because then he doesn't have to talk about the issues which he's not knowledgeable on, he's weak on, and would have disastrous ramifications. So that actually helps Zoran Mandami. But I'm in all of his neighborhoods, getting votes: Astoria, Long Island City, Carroll Gardens, Brooklyn Heights, the Slope, Park Slope, Sunset Park, Ridgewood. These are all areas where the Zoranistas are out there. We're out there going door to door, good old-fashioned retail politics, with the mail hangers, phone calls, texts, emails. And that's how you win elections. And Cuomo's people are not out there. His whole hope is that I drop out and gets people who vote for me. They're not going to vote for him. And I'm not dropping out with 12 days left. I'm voting on Saturday when early voting starts, when the doors open to the Museum of Natural History, which is my voting location. I will be voting first, because that's where democracy is preserved in the history of America. They took the Teddy Roosevelt statue from there, Rudy.
I know that.
I'm going to get it back. I'm going to get it back in front of the Museum of Natural.
Thank you. Please get Jefferson back in City Hall. I used to go pray to him. They took the Jefferson statue out of the chambers of the city council. It's a beautiful statue of Thomas Jefferson, and the stupid dopes have no idea that probably the guy most responsible for our being able to free the slaves is Thomas Jefferson, because he wrote in the Constitution, or rather in the Declaration of Independence, a poison pill, and he knew he did it, and he was told not to do it by the Virginians. All men are created equal. You write all men are created equal. Well, slavery is a contradiction of that. So he put a poison pill. And if you listen to all the debates on emancipation, and it all started with that. How can we be a country with all men are created equal and we have slaves? Who put that there? Thomas Jefferson, on purpose. And these ignorant morons and they take his statue down.
And there was an attempt, although fleeting, it did not succeed. They were talking about taking down, you saw it every day when you were in and out of City Hall, the outside, right by the park, the Nathan Hale statue. I have but one life to give for my country. No, they stopped. It was stopped.
But why? What would Nathan Hale have to do with slavery, or why would they take down Nathan Hale?
Rudy, because he was white. Let's be honest about it.
My God, without people like Nathan Hale, nobody would have a country. White, black, pink, yellow, green, in between, right?
But I can tell you, having been at City Hall a week ago, the statue is there. The word as important as they always were, but they don't teach about Nathan Hale in schools. I have 3 sons. They did very well in public school. None of them learned about Nathan Hale, our American Revolution, our history, civics. We used to have mandatory civics, Rudy, so we understood what.
No. Yes, of course. We were taught what a great country we are.
And we were told, Rudy,
not untrue, by the way.
We were told, Rudy, the reason you vote is that men have died for your right to vote and also for your right of free speech. That was drilled into us. They don't do that to the children. That's why turnout in elections, non-presidential years, is so dismal. People don't feel that they have a responsibility to vote.
This way that Mondamis can control it.
Exactly.
You know,
and as I tell everybody, Rudy, on the campaign trail, there's 2 people who are responsible for the rise of Zohran Mamdani. A year ago, not even his neighbors knew who he was. The failed mayoralty of Eric Adams, because normally, even a halfway decent Democrat, the incumbent, it would have been a very tough haul for me. I would have run against him round 2, but he would have run. His failure opened the pathway for Zohran, and then Cuomo getting into the campaign with his name, but not willing to campaign. And Zohran had the volunteers, had the energy, and he wiped them out. And then Cuomo should have just recognized, my day is over. I don't have enough gas in the tank. I'm not hungry enough. I don't really want to be mayor. I just want to use this as a stepping stone to get back into the national political scene. You know, Rudy, being mayor is day-to-day detail. It's not like being governor or a congressman or a U.S. senator. And that's all Cuomo wanted, to get back into the game. But by being mayor, something he didn't want to do, you could tell. You just look at his face. You just look at his inability to talk to people, to shake their hands, unless he knows it's a friendly crowd. Rudy, I used to see you do those town hall meetings. People would boo you, scream, holler, curse you, and you stood there and you took it and fired back.
I was crazy like you were.
Yeah. But that's how you get respect from your foes, Rudy.
We got to keep plugging away. We got to win this. We got to stop this guy. So I'm going to keep checking in with you, Curtis. God bless you.
Thank you again.
Are you finished? Are you finished now? Are you finished for tonight?
No. I still got to go 1 in the morning. I'm on Rudy Giuliani time.
I know, but we got to make sure we got the energy, okay?
Yeah, well,
there is something. Listen to you. What's your wife telling you?
Rudy, It's called a lot of Medaglia d'Oro coffee. A
I'm
lot of
gonna
Medaglia
send,
d'Oro coffee.
we're gonna send him Rudy
We're gonna
coffee.
send him some Rudy
You're gonna
coffee.
get next couple of days. You're gonna get Rudy coffee. It's better.
Yes. Yes.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you,
God bless
Mr.
you,
Mayor.
Curtis. Be safe.
Curtis Leroy, he is putting
Be
the time in.
safe, my friend. Be safe. We really pray for that.
He's putting the
There's
time in. 20
such-
hours a day.
You know, there's such damn crazy people out there. Every time I see one of these people, even whether it's him or Mondani or Cuomo,
Right.
there's some crazy effing
Right. And Curtis has been
and there are
fearless.
much more of them on their side than ours. I
Right.
do agree with that. But we still have a couple on our side.
Right. But this is a guy, Curtis Leroy. You talk about a man of the people. Out of these three candidates, this is the only one to be riding the subway day in and day out for he's 70 years old for his entire life. Mamdani claims to be the people's candidate. The guy doesn't ride the subway.
I'm making his choice in front of you. I mean,
If he does, it's with 10 security guards.
I'm for Curtis, and every day I think about, is it right? Am I right? Am I correct? Should there be a joint ticket? I just don't want to wake up the day after the election with a communist in charge and an Islamic terrorist
right
supporter.
And
being part of, I
Yeah.
cannot accuse him of being a terrorist himself. I can absolutely and without any doubt defend saying that he's a supporter of Islamic terrorism, that he hates the Jewish people, that he hates America. And you want, Sondami, you little piece of shit, you want to debate me? That was no.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, that's right, Mayor. And again, just going back to, Curtis is on the subway every day, right? And you're going back years, and he's a New Yorker's New Yorker. I hope that people
honestly, the people of the city were very much affected by Mondami's affordability campaign.
Right.
And several great political advisors taught me that the answer to an election is to create the overwhelming question that people have when they go into the ballot box, and then you be the answer to it. So if they go into the ballot box and the answer is, the question is, who can make my cost of living better? And they'll be all over the place. And they'll probably end up in pretty much where the polls say 40% for Zandami, 35 or whatever. He's got to change the question they ask.
Yep.
The question they ask, who can make me safer? That's got to get above. He got it. Who can make me safer?
Right.
Now, I think that would put him over both of them if he did that.
Right.
But he hasn't done it yet, and he's got to do it.
Right. And I'm hopeful that he could get that message out.
If 42% of the people in New York walk into the ballot box and say, I'm really scared living in New York. Who can make me safer? Curtis will do a miracle.
Right. Right. I mean,
but they're not right now. 2-1, it's affordability.
Right. That's right, Mayor. And it's again, and I feel for you. I mean, this has to be just this is the city you love.
I don't live there anymore. feel for the people of the city. I got out of there because it's so shitty. I mean, I have a family. I don't want them subjected to this.
Right.
Oh, there he is when he was a kid, when I helped get him out of jail.
That's right. Curtis has been, the Guardian Angels. Look it up for those not from New York. Look up the Guardian Angels program. This man would ride the subways, not armed, right, with no special protection.
So we're going to have to cover a couple other things before we get off, and we have to get off in 5 minutes, because if we don't, I'm going to faint because I'm starving.
Okay.
So the United States has split the baby in half, and the wisdom of Solomon was you didn't have to split the baby in half, right?
Right.
Everybody said, oh, split the baby in half. The wisdom was that Solomon, you didn't have to split the baby in half because he picked the one who loved the child the most. So we've not given the Ukrainians the tomahawks because that'll go too far into Russia and may provoke a monster Putin. But we are going to impose massive sanctions on them. Now, I will tell you, I would like both. But if you had to do one or the other, I prefer the sanctions. Because the sanctions are really where you're going to hit. Putin doesn't care about life. He cares about money.
Right.
And if you hit his, if you take that price of oil and get it below $50, how about down to about 40? He will crack.
Yeah.
Much more important than if you bomb his. Now, if you're going to use the Tomahawks, here's where the Tomahawks could help, and why, if I were in the administration, I'd urge the president to give it to him. Go hit the oil depositories. Don't kill the Russian people. Get rid of all their oil. Help. The sanctions are making the price of oil and the difficulty of getting oil out of Russia prohibitive. But they're not 100%. You can always get around a little bit around the sanctions. At the same time as imposing the sanctions, you took out their oil reserves, which they're doing with drones. They're doing it like, David with the pea shooter. And they're doing a good job. But if they had Tomahawk missiles, the whole oil business in Russia would be over in a week. They don't have to hit Moscow. Right. And they're not, and the Ukrainians, for whatever else they are, and it is a country that has a great deal of corruption, the Ukrainians are not animals. They don't fight like animals. The Russians fight like animals. And Putin has no regard for the lives of his soldiers. None, zero. He just sends one group up after another. That's why he goes and gets as many as he can, North Koreans to die for him. Now he's offering all kinds of ridiculous programs to families, like right. Send your shitty son to die for me, and I'll make you rich.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's completely inconsistent with Western civilization because they're not part of it. Peter the Great tried to make them part of it; they never were, and it's part of the problem. And Ukraine wants to be part of Western civilization.
Right.
Putin was flexing his muscles. He did a demonstration with one of his nuclear missiles. See what I think of this, Vladimir? He knows me, right? See this here? Okay.
And don't you think that would have?
You know what happens if you use that nuclear missile? You'll be the first one dead, and that means no more Italian girls. I know about you.
So
no more Italian girls, Putin. That's it. And you ever read Dante's Inferno? The Inferno part of the trilogy, because that's where you're going. You can't kill that many people, starting when you were a young KGB agent and really enjoyed it. You sadistic fuck. You don't go to Paradiso. You go to L'Inferno. They don't got many pretty girls down there. Oh, you want to try the Muhammad bullshit? The 72 virgins, they're all used up. The Israelis killed too many. Just look at the number of men and women that any population produces. And by now, the Israelis have killed so many high-ranking jihadists. I mean, if there are a couple left, you think there are a couple of virgins left up there? After all this, come on.
Right. So
Russia continues the other day, and every time he hits Kharkiv, I want to go volunteer and fight.
Right.
Because I built the emergency management center in Kharkiv.
You did, and it remains standing to this day. Only thing
I can tell you is Kharkiv ain't giving up, pal. They're not giving up. They actually rescued 50 children.
Wow.
He bombed a children's center. 3 to 5. Had to know he was doing it. Moscow has targeted the children of Kharkiv, just 15 miles from the Russian border, killing 100 in the region and injuring more than 600 children. Children. He's not going to get Kharkiv. He's not going to get Kharkiv, even though 9 years ago, Kharkiv loved him. Then he mistakenly attacked them and started killing them for no reason. And they figured out who Putin is. Mr. President, he is not a good guy. He's not your kind of guy. He's a maniacal, trained from the time he was young, KGB killer. And like some of the mafia people that I faced, some of whom hated killing, some of whom loved it, he's in the he loves killing category because he does unnecessary killing. Everything he's doing right now is completely unnecessary. What the hell is he going to gain? 2 inches of territory. He can't get beyond the Donetsk drone wall. He's tried 100 times. I don't know how many soldiers he's lost. Probably he wiped out every stupid North Korean they sent there. I mean, they were just like target practice.
That's right.
And plus, they ended up killing his own soldiers. I couldn't tell the difference between the Ukrainians and the Russians. If you're in North Korea and you have a one-channel Samsung, you think you can tell the difference between two different Eastern Europeans?
Right.
And just because they have a different, their uniforms aren't even that different. Hey, I don't even know what kind of names they have, but hey, Young, you're shooting the Russians. Oh, Who are the Russians?
Right.
How do you tell the difference? They have red, they have pink. Oh, okay. You're shooting your own people now, Young.
That's right, Mayor. And of course, Putin's in a very, very tenuous position as battlefield losses continue to mount. He's probably.
How about he killed an 84-year-old goat herder who was blown to pieces by a Russian drone? Larissa Marinoyevna Zakulyuk, known locally as Baba Laura or Grandma Laura, was walking with two of her goats early Monday along the Antonivka neighborhood in Kherson when they were struck by Russian UAV. Zarina Zabriskie, an American journalist based in Kherson, confirmed the deadly strike. Her legs were blown off. She was blown to pieces, Zabriskie told the Post, of images of the 84-year-old woman's body. That's not necessary. It's not necessary. Putin, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you possessed? I mean, do you need an exorcism? What the hell good is it doing to you to kill an 84-year-old woman and blow her to pieces? It's not on your conscience. The problem is Americans are into this America First thing, and I'm into the America First thing too. However, America First does not mean isolationism. In fact, America First can sometimes be just the opposite of isolationism. If you put America first, you want to get rid of the Chinese threat, which means having to be involved in the world. It means not being isolationist. You got to contest them. You got to fight them. You got to have a military that's so strong. Every time they think about it, they do a Chinese shake. That's the only way it'll work. Only way it will work. Well,
that's right.
What do we have left, Ted? What do we have left to tell them that they need to know between now and tomorrow for sure? Because otherwise they will be propagandized by the miserable left wing.
Well, of course, we are monitoring the other two big elections coming up in New Jersey and Virginia.
Oh, we got to spend time on those because it would be a disaster if they elect the Naval Academy cheat.
That's right.
In New Jersey.
Yes, or the Democrat.
The Spangberger asshole who likes to support the guy who dreams about killing us.
Yes. It's absurd.
And she's going to make him her AG. AGs are really important. They're the ones who want to put me in jail all over the place.
That's
When
right.
they're Democrats.
And then, of course,
The AG in Arizona won't give up the case.
I read that.
She won't give up the case because she's a Democrat.
But that eventually something, I mean.
Eventually something, whatever.
Yeah.
But you elect one of those in Virginia who wants to kill. He dreams about killing us.
This
guy shouldn't be on a ticket. He should be I got a great place for him. They reopen the Goldberg Pavilion, where they have 2,000 beds for the mentally ill. And we'll have a big ceremony. He can be our first inductee. Now, if he has to be in shackles, I mean, I can't help that. They put Peter Navarro in shackles, and Peter Navarro never wanted to kill anybody.
Right.
This guy wants to kill people.
Right. It's absurd. And then, of course, we're following the NBA gambling scandal. We expect to see a lot more from that. So,
you know what the NBA is really lucky about? NBA is lucky that we are long past Father's Day, and Father's Day doesn't come up for a very long time, because as my friend Tony Carbonetti told me, the most complex day in the NBA is Father's Day. How many kids does this guy have? 6?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were told by Emily.
That's not bad. Most of them have 7.
Right.
Usually there's a pattern: 2 with the first wife, and then the 5 with different women. And that is not just black, that's white. Larry Bird denied that this girl he used to sit in the stands who looks just like him, she looked like a bird, like him, wasn't his daughter until they did DNA and it turned out to be his daughter.
Right.
Why would you deny a child? What kind of a man are you if you deny a child?
You're not a man at that point.
So that's why the NBA is very partial to China and does everything that Xi Jinping wants. Even their great stars, right?
Right. LeBron James told us not to criticize China, not to talk about issues that we are not experts in. LeBron James. I don't know if he graduated high school. He might have got an honorary degree.
Is LeBron James an expert in foreign affairs in China?
I have some deep suspicions that he's not.
You think he speaks Chinese?
That, he might be learning. I mean, that might be part of the NBA's new requirements, the Chinese Basketball Association. And we'll talk more about that because people may not understand, but there's a lot of Chinese influence in today's NBA, and it's important to note that.
I think that the NBA is the reason I don't watch professional basketball.
Right. Well,
I think the NBA is dominated by China, more so than any of the leagues, because they really think they can have a future there with their 1.3 billion people.
Right. But I guess for sports fans out there, Mayor, should they be concerned seeing this level of, corruption in the NBA? Those of us that may not be the biggest NBA fans, but enjoy football, baseball, hockey, some of these other sports, should we be concerned?
Sports it takes a while for a sport to work. So baseball really worked in Japan. It's like a magic in Japan. It looks like football is doing pretty well in England.
Yeah, I mean, they really are.
Baseball. I went to the first baseball game in England with the Yankees and the Red Sox, and you could tell they couldn't pick it up. I mean, first of all, they're not smart enough, but that's why we beat them in the war.
Right.
Baseball requires. Football is a more intuitive game. Football may have more strategy and everything else, but baseball is a more intellectual game. Baseball requires an ability to abstract that you don't need in football. You're not going to understand baseball unless you really sit down and study it, or you've played it. And I know that because I tried very, very hard. People come to me to learn baseball because I love it so much.
Yeah.
I remember my friend Peter Powers had this Eastern European girlfriend, great girl. She wanted to marry him and stuff. He married somebody else eventually. She wanted to know about baseball. So I taught her everything about baseball. He went to a Met game. And all of a sudden, I told her, if you hit it out of the ballpark, it's a home run. I don't know why. I didn't describe it more concretely than that.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and somebody like, I think the Pirates, it was the Pirates and the Mets, and somebody from the Pirates hits one way out of the ballpark, but foul.
Okay.
She gets up and she starts cheering and jumping up and down.
Right.
Everybody's looking at her.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she said, "You said if they hit it out of the ballpark, it's a home run." And I'm thinking, I really created this problem for her. I didn't define it correctly enough. It's out of the ballpark. Fair.
Between
You
the
know how
foul
many
poles.
home runs Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams would have? If anyone out of the ballpark, 45,000.
Got to hit between the foul poles. The foul poles count.
Yeah, but the ball went right over like this, and she's getting up.
Maybe that
I
had
said,
something.
Natasha, sit down, sit down.
Maybe that had something to do with Peter not ending up marrying her. Her lack of
Peter
baseball.
actually did. He took her to another baseball game. Then I don't know why he kept doing this. If you want to court a girl who doesn't understand it, you take her to other things than you teach her. He wanted to bring her right into the lion's den.
Yeah.
He wanted to see how she would react to American sports.
Yeah.
And she was just a fool.
Right. No, I could see that. Look, if you're a big baseball guy and you go to games on a regular basis, I think it's fair to take your
He was a
potential.
big sports guy.
Yeah, you
And
get
he
to
wanted
take your
see,
dates.
is she going to allow me to enjoy sports? And he decided,
Uh-oh.
no.
Right.
But the poor girl didn't even understand it. I mean, she's cheering for a foul ball as a home run.
Right.
Well,
another
the secretary the head of CBS News
Barry Weiss.
now has 6 people guarding her.
I saw
because
that.
she's making changes and trying to get them to tell the truth. Why start now? Remember that line?
Saturday Night Live.
They weren't telling the truth. You want to get really shocked? They weren't telling the truth when Walter Cronkite was there.
Exactly.
Because he was biased.
Right. It's Barry.
Take that.
There's our security. The New York Post wanted to point out how good looking and chiseled these guys look.
Who?
Her security force. This is Barry Weiss's security guards right here on screen.
They're chiseled? Which one is chiseled?
They got strong jaws. I can't disagree with that.
The one guy on her right looks like her son.
Maybe it was.
I mean, it looks like a 5-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that does.
Let me see that group again. I know security people better than anybody. Put them on. The big guy on the right, that's about the only one that I'd say is impressive. The kid on the left, I don't know. He might start running the other way. The other short one next to the big guy, I have no idea. I can't tell from. I'm just looking at appearance now. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Barry, you got to come. You got to get some advice from me. I'll get you some really good ones. I don't want to see. I mean, you're doing the right thing, sweetheart. So hang in there. Don't worry about it.
So we can't.
You're not going to bring back CBS to its greater glory because it never had any glory.
Right.
It was always a piece of shit.
Right.
Let's just make it into a First Amendment station.
Right.
We now have in Japan the very first ever female prime minister. And I don't know, we haven't used it all night, but if we can use this, I want to show you a picture that I find enormously impressive. And I don't know exactly.
I got it from yesterday. Is it the same one from yesterday?
I don't know. It's the same one.
With the ceremony?
John Grove.
The ceremony?
Well, I got to get John Gross later.
Yep.
He's a very good guy. There you go. I got it right there.
Yep, I got it right here.
Put
too.
it up. That's the new prime minister of
It's up.
where? Oh, over there.
Yeah.
Not there?
Not there.
Okay. There's the new prime minister of Japan, who is very pro-American, offering her credentials to the emperor of Japan. I'm not even sure you probably knew they have an emperor. You know why they still have an emperor? Because of a genius. An American genius who is maligned because he was too militaristic, too, I don't know what, too good. Douglas R. MacArthur. If you can't relate to his battle strategies, some of which would rank in the 5 greatest battles in the history of the world, like his Incheon landing, which only a genius could have figured out, like George Washington with his Hudson River crossing. Then you got to relate to the fact that there is nobody in the history of this world who took a conquered country and made it a friend of the country that conquered it as fast as Douglas MacArthur did with Japan. Not even Caesar. Because the man was an intuitive genius. You see that emperor sitting there? He could have thrown him right out. Boom. You know what MacArthur did after we won the war? After we used the atom bomb on them twice, he went and did that. He said, Emperor, I don't blame it on you. If Japan still wants an emperor, they can have an emperor. If they don't want an emperor, they don't have to have an emperor. But I'm here to protect you until they get a chance to calm down and make that decision wisely. The minute he did that, Douglas R. MacArthur could be one of the, Douglas R. MacArthur could rate with the heroes of Japan in their pantheon of the greatest Japanese. And he won over for us, I believe, a country that will be one of the most critical allies of the United States, because there is no country that China fears more than that country. The Chinese, when the Chinese think about the Japanese, they can't even sleep at night. And the idea of demilitarizing them, maybe it made sense in 1948, 49. Doesn't make sense anymore. They're not going to attack us. I know who they're going to attack. And if you militarize them, Xi Jinping wouldn't even think about taking Taiwan.
That's right.
But really militarize them. Now, Abe, who is very, very close to Donald Trump, was moving in that direction. Then the sissies took over. She is tough as nails. Takashi is as tough as nails. I was very friendly with the former prime minister, Yakasumi, who used to play the guitar. And he wasn't quite as tough as these guys. I was trying to get him to be, but I taught him how to throw out the first ball.
Ah, that's important. Any Japanese leader has to know how to throw out the first pitch.
To throw out the first ball at the first real major league game played in Japan.
Right.
It was the Yankees against the Devil Rays. And at the same time, Major League Baseball said, we think it would be disrespectful if we didn't invite the prime minister to do the same thing. So the prime minister's office called me and asked, and he was a good friend of Bush's, that guy. He used to come here and play the guitar, and he used to imitate Elvis Presley. So I got on the phone with him, and he said, I'm not going to tell anybody else this, but I'm going to tell you. He spoke great English. I've never thrown out the first ball because we don't do that here. We don't, they never allow politicians to intrude into baseball. That's probably a pretty good idea, but we're going to get to throw out the first ball. So you're going to throw it out with me. How do we do it together? I said, did you play baseball? He said, absolutely. I played shortstop. I said, that means you're a pretty good baseball player. Can you throw? Yeah, of course I can throw. Can you hit? Yeah, I can hit. Not everybody in Japan is a baseball player and a golfer.
Right.
So I said, this is nothing. It can be nothing for you. I'll come over there 2 days early and we'll practice together. We'll have fun.
Right.
So I went over and I taught him. I didn't teach him how to throw. I got him over the nervousness of throwing out the first ball. He was just as capable of doing it as I was. And then we became great friends. We must have gone to 4 Yankee games together when he came to America. Every time he'd come to America to see Bush, he'd come up to New York to see me, and I would take him to a Yankee game.
And he even pitched at a Yankee game. Maybe
he did. He threw the first ball at a Yankee game too, because I told he was capable of doing it.
Right. So we got it on here. Let's see how he does. There he is. Were you there? Were you here at this game?
Of course I was. Yeah. I hope you see me.
Looking for the mayor here. You're probably helping. This is 2004, but you think you would have been there to help him, right?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, and that must be Hideki Matsui?
Oh, he loved Matsui. He loved Matsui.
That's Hideki Matsui.
We should go back and get the picture from the game in Japan.
That's what I was looking for, and I'll look for that. This is the game here in the United States. This is 2004.
Yeah, George was still alive.
Let's see how you did, Mayor. So you helped him with this first pitch. Let's see how he does it here. This is 2004 in New York City. That's Yankee Stadium.
And he wore that hair like that. See the windup?
Not bad. Not bad. You only get that music if it's a strike, right?
No, that was a good throw.
Yeah. So
Not
you
as good as Bush, but
yeah, that's right. George Bush, the
so we're gonna say goodnight because people have to go to sleep. Did we show Takachi?
we did.
Okay. I'm counting a lot on this Takachi lady. I had 3 businesses in Japan for 8 years. I really know Japan, so we're not like just
Right. Right.
This
So
is a great country. You got to get beyond. You got to get beyond the superficials with them,
right.
and you got to get to know the Japanese. When you get to know the Japanese, you get to know some of the strongest, most honorable people you've ever met.
Right. That is definitely on my bucket list.
It's like if I could make Israel and Japan our 2 biggest allies, man, I wouldn't worry about anything for my grandchildren. Wouldn't worry about anything.
Right.
These guys are as determined warriors as the Israelis are.
I believe it.
When you consider over the centuries they have dominated that big China and they're this tiny little island, you realize because they're a tiny little island, not really tiny, but they have developed this ability to defend themselves that's in the blood.
Right.
Put them to war. You got to have the great United States of America to defeat them. And you have to hit them with an atomic bomb to do it, which is what Truman realized. Truman had an estimate, which a lot of people question, that if he didn't do the atomic bomb twice, we would have lost 1 million troops. A lot of people think that's exaggerated. If you know the Japanese and you're going to try to take Japan up and down, it would have been like trying to take England back when Winston Churchill said, "You want England? You got to kill every Englishman." Right. Nowadays, if you want England, they just give it to you.
You just got to ask for it. That's right, Mayor. So we got to get over there. We got to meet with this new prime minister.
If I don't get off now, I'll faint.
Well, then we better get off.
Okay,
You're like
so
any great starting pitcher, though. You got to, well, not tonight maybe, but usually I got to really, really push you to get off.
Yeah, but
because you have so much.
And I want some Japanese food.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please pray for the people of Israel and pray for the people of Ukraine and pray for the people of Iran. These are the people that are most in distress. You know what? We're going to spend more time on it as soon as this election gets over. But we're going to start concentrating on Africa because they are wiping Christians out in Africa left and right. And it has nothing to do with civil wars in Africa. It has to do with the fact that these Muslims elect the bad part of Muhammad instead of the good part of Muhammad, like Zandami does. And what that means is they are determined to destroy every Christian in Africa. That's what it's about in Nigeria. That's what it's about in Ghana. It's not a civil war. It's a religious war. And it's a war to exterminate Christians. Their same desire to exterminate Jews extends to Christians. But nobody covers it because we're euphemistic with regard to Muslims. Even the Catholic Church is euphemistic with regard to Muslims, and it could be our undoing. So we're going to try to interrupt that.
Right, and we are here day in and day out.
So now you pray for the president. You pray for him to remain strong, to remain healthy, to remain alive. How about to remain alive? Okay? And of course, God bless America. We went on long tonight, Ted.
President, that the sanctions that you're announcing today will push Putin to the...
Well, I don't know that they will. I think that they'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions. It's sanctions on oil. The 2 biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push... hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes 2 to tango, as they say, and we're going to find out. They hate each other. These 2 people hate each other. You know that better than anybody, and it makes it more difficult than it should be. This should be easier to do, but the level of hatred between Zelensky and Putin is very substantial.
Could I add one thing? What the president is doing today with these sanctions is putting more pressure, of course, on both parts, in this case on Russia. It's all about changing the calculus, making sure that Putin understands that the president's vision this weekend of having a ceasefire, stop where they are, as you literally said, and that this has to be step one now. And for him to really accept that vision and to come to the table. And then you have to put pressure, and this is exactly what he did today.
Along with Europe. I mean, Europe, look, they've actually become friends of mine. I think yes. All of them. Yeah. We have a very close relationship, and they want to see it end too. They really want to see it end. But I can say they're totally committed. If this went on for 10 more years, Europe is behind them. They just can't let that happen. You can't let what's been going on. Now, it should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president. But it did happen. I inherited. This was Biden, a man who was, without question, you take a look at the new walkway, the Presidential Walk of Fame, we call it. Biden is the worst president we've ever had, if he was even a president. The people that surrounded that desk made those decisions. But this should have never happened. It wouldn't have happened. But it did happen. I inherited it. We're going to get it ended, hopefully soon.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to